Hello and welcome to Drive-In Double Feature Podcast. I'm Nathan.
I'm Ryan.
And this is the podcast where we talk about B-movies every Tuesday and Thursday. And today we're talking about a B-movie comedy from 1992 called Highway to Hell, directed by Ot de Jong, who is famous for directing the worldwide success Drop Dead Fred. And this is his follow. Well, actually, he filmed this and Highway to Hell in the same year. So just a great year for the guy. I've actually never seen Drop Dead Fred, so I couldn't tell you.
Sorry, I'm just shocked with you saying this was supposed to be a comedy.
Really? I thought it was a comedy.
Is it a comedy? I mean,
that's kind of what I got out of it.
I guess it's a comedy. Yeah. Yeah, sure. I mean, it reminds me of if like Beetlejuice was like a road trip movie or something.
Yeah, that's kind of what I felt. It was like B comedy horror, like kind of rides that line. It was just a little too goofy to like, and like not goofy and like, because sometimes we watch movies exploitation that are goofy because they're made poorly or something. This was like really too well made to not meant to be funny. You know what I mean?
I was like genuinely surprised at how well some aspects of like the costumes and makeup were.
Yeah, I totally agree. This movie for like, it's such a high concept movie and it has like a lot of like really great special features. The world, it's shot really well. It's like a really well made movie. It's surprising.
Oh, I know. Well, I mean, like, so, I mean, they go to hell. That's the whole premise.
Yeah.
But all the demons, like, I remember there's some that I still like think about, like, I remember seeing where like, especially if they go to like a diner and there's like some that have like bugs like crawling out of their mouth, or it's like they have like their eyes taped up, or like one, I think somebody had like all like their eyes and mouth like sewn together or something. So it was really cool looking. I was just like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool looking.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I picked this movie on a whim, kind of for a dud reason, because I was like, oh, Gilbert Gottfried's in this. You know, he just passed away. What is he in this movie for, like 2 minutes?
If that, yeah.
If that. I mean, it is the briefest of cameos.
And hey, but it's not that he doesn't play a memorable character. I mean, he literally plays Hitler.
Yeah, he plays Hitler, and he does it very well. He does a great job. I mean, it's Gilbert Gottfried doing Gilbert Gottfried, but dressed as Hitler. But
so, Nathan? What's your favorite Gilbert Gottfried memory?
My favorite it's so hard to say. I feel like Gilbert Gottfried for a lot of people, especially from like mine and your age bracket, is probably Aladdin, right? It was probably the first exposure where he voices Iago. Just that voice is just iconic. You know, it's just incredible. But we actually texted about a movie together, the Problem Child, Problem Child 2.
Yes.
That's also, I watched that movie on cable all the time growing up. It was like very common for me to flip to that one.
Yeah, I remember renting Problem Child, the first one from the video store on VHS, and I was just like, oh, because it's a little kid causing havoc, and I was a little kid, and so I was like, this is right up my alley, and then I loved it so much that I had to watch the sequel, and I mean, being a kid at the time, I didn't really have a very eclectic taste back then, so I was like, oh, this is a great movie. Both of them, they knocked it out of the park both times. and
where's their Oscar?
And then I ended up buying the first Problem Child on VHS. Nice. I would have bought the second one, never could find it, unfortunately.
Dang. Well, there is a popular internet meme that Problem Child 2 is one of the greatest films of all time.
I guess 9-year-old me probably would have agreed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's just something when you're a kid like this in Home Alone where it's like, oh, a kid's the star and he's an asshole. Love it.
Yeah, it's too bad they don't talk about Home Alone like they don't talk about Problem Child 2. They never mention Home Alone anymore.
No, yeah, Home Alone, that'll come up on the show for sure. That
guy,
Chris Columbus never went anywhere.
Hey, did you know Home Alone was a Christmas movie?
What? No, that's a lie. It's not. It's not an iconic Christmas movie
Everyone
like Die
said
Hard.
everybody says a real typical Christmas movie like Die Hard. Everyone says
Mhm.
Die Hard's my favorite Christmas movie. Well, I like to go outside of the box and say Home
Mhm.
Alone.
Yeah, and specifically the first one. That one is probably the best, outside the box
Yeah,
thinking Christmas movie.
it's too bad Home Alone 2 wasn't a Christmas movie. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I wish. Well, speaking of things that are kind of related to Christmas, Hell. Uh,
yeah, yeah, okay.
yeah. Um, so this movie is really just what an oddball movie. I mean, the plot's all there. Guy, girl, um, girl won't have sex with guy, and the devil kidnaps her because she's a virgin, and he has to drive to hell and get her out in 24 hours.
Do they explain why the devil wants her? I mean, do they kind of explain that? Because I know, like,
Yeah.
because the thing is that there was a history of women being abducted and being taken to hell, and they never
Mhm.
really said what. Well, we do see one woman that was abducted from like the 30s or whatever,
Yeah.
but we don't see any of these other women.
Yeah, no, yeah, we don't see any of the other women, and no, I mean, they don't really. He doesn't really say. His reasoning is just like, oh, she's a virgin and pure, but like, I don't know, like, why her
I,
of all people?
right. Well, I mean, I remember at the end of the movie, he did say like, the devil's like, I'm going to marry her, and then she's going to give me a son, and
That's
all
right.
that.
Yeah.
So, oh, and the female lead played by Christy Swanson, or the very first Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, holy crap! That's cool. That's awesome. I guess I didn't realize that. No, that's a good callback. There's actually like a surprising amount of people in this. Richard Farnsworth plays the gas station owner who would later win an Oscar for Straight Story.
Well, he didn't win for that, but
Sorry,
yeah,
he
you.
got nominated for Straight Story, and he's just a classic actor who's in a lot of stuff. Gilbert Gottfried, of course. There's a lot of references in the movie. Of any movie that takes place in hell, they have to add some jokes where a celebrity's in hell. But there were some weird ones. Like there was like a waiting spot for Jerry Lewis in hell. I was like,
Right.
of all people, why?
Yeah, I didn't get that either. I was, I mean, I know who Jerry Lewis is, but I'm like, did he have a reputation for being somebody that was worthy to go to hell? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't know either.
Maybe the filmmakers of this were very offended by his clown Holocaust movie.
The one that nobody's seen.
Yeah.
Uh, and all the construction workers are Andy Warhol. Or,
Yeah.
like, not even like construction workers, just like there's a bunch of Andy Warhols running around.
Yeah, that one. But I think you're forgetting the biggest cameo in this movie. That freaking Ben Stiller is in this movie.
Yes, yeah. Well, actually, the whole Stiller family,
Yeah.
his mom and dad are in the movie.
And his sister.
And his sister. Absolutely, like, where is the connection here? I looked up facts and everything, and none of them talk about how Ben Stiller and his family got into this movie.
Well, like, so I know, like, this movie did come out in 1991, but I guess it was filmed, like, 2 years prior to that, like in the 89.
Gotcha.
That's what I remember reading. So, I mean, this is very young Ben Stiller. This is not...
Yes, not famous Ben Stiller.
No. And this is before he broke out in, like, the mid-90s or whatever. So, this is... you don't see this guy very often. He plays two characters, actually. He plays, like, a short order cook who's just like kind of babbling to himself and acting kind of crazy. And then he plays Attila the Hun.
Yes, he does play Attila the Hun. Very briefly, though, I'll be honest with you. Like, you only see him for a little bit because he's in the same scene as Adolf Hitler. And, of course, Hitler gets more screen time than Attila the Hun.
Which, I mean... If you were making a movie, I'd put Hitler on screen more than Attila the Hun.
Yes, yeah. No, yeah. I mean, like you said, Gilbert Gottfried was established by then, and And Ben Stiller was kind of like a smaller actor at the time. You're going to put Gilbert on screen.
Which it's funny to me because I mean when you picked this movie, I mean I know you hadn't seen it, but I was thinking like Gilbert Gottfried was going to like have like a much bigger role in this. So I'm like when's he showing up there? We're like halfway into this movie. Where is Gilbert Gottfried? And then he shows up, and as quick as he shows up, he leaves.
Yeah, I thought the same thing though.
Well, you didn't look in that way. So you did when you were looking at the cast list of this, you didn't see. Did you see where it said Hitler played by Gilbert Gottfried?
Yeah, I did. That's why I picked it. I was like, oh, Gilbert Gottfried's playing Hitler. And like, I just saw the reviews for it. All of them mentioned the Gilbert Gottfried cameo. And I was like, okay, or they didn't say it was a cameo. They were just like, oh, Gilbert Gottfried plays Hitler. I was like, okay, this has to be a huge deal in the movie. No, it really wasn't. It was just a funny bit,
I guess it's kind of like, it's like Austin Powers and Goldmember. You get a little second of Tom Cruise in that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
When I think of Gilbert Gottfried, I think of Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Next time I'm going to be like, oh, I'm picking a Gwyneth Paltrow movie, and then I pick Goldmember for her like 5 seconds in that movie.
Yeah, her star-making role. Nobody knew who she was until that movie.
Very small. So overall, I want to ask you, how did you feel about this movie?
It was okay.
That's how I felt.
I was kind of entertained by it for a little bit. There was some, but it wasn't a good entertainment. I'll say that. I mean, it was neat to watch, but I didn't really care about any of the characters or anything. And it was, the main character, by the way, is played by Chad Lowe, Rob Lowe's brother, too.
Gotcha. Okay. So I guess I didn't make the connection in my head, but yeah, he looks exactly like Rob Lowe, like very, very close. Not very good either.
But no, I didn't love it by any means. I will say so many of these movies, I'm like, why? So there's a little kid in this movie too, and he's not annoying like and over the top or anything like that, but he's very much just like, I'm a cute little kid. Just that being cutesy just to be cute.
Yeah, no, I really didn't like the kid in this one, and he was in it more than I would have liked. Well, he did get taken out at one point because he's like, I'm your sidekick now. Like, I think he like pretty much just says that, like, oh, I'm with you now to the main character, and then he leaves for a little bit, and then he kind of becomes like a bargaining chip because the main guy wants to get him out of hell, so he makes a deal with the devil to get him out of hell.
Which it's funny because he tells the little kid like, oh, do you want to come back up to the real world with me? And he's like, yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to. And then, the devil is basically like, no, you belong to me. And then he tells the main character like, I don't want to go to Earth anymore. And he's like, really? Okay, well, see you around, kid. Like he doesn't put up much of a fight for that. And but then at the end of the movie, he's like, no, I'm taking the kid with me. And there's one scene too. So they're being chased by the devil's bodyguard, who's a cop.
Yeah, Hell
Cop, which he's got a cool look to him. But so during like the final chase sequence, they're having a race with Hell Cop, and the little kid finally speaks up and it's like, oh, you got to shoot him in the eyes. That's the only way to kill him. And he's like, well, and the main character's like, well, why are you just now telling me this? He's like, well, because now I'm on your side. Like
that made me so mad. That made me so mad. Yeah, because like that's so like, oh, you realized you had a plot hole. You had to explain it that way. Just if you're gonna realize you have a plot hole, just let it ride. Maybe my dumb ass won't catch it.
Yeah. I was like, give me a break.
Yeah, I thought that was really annoying. There was just a few things. My big thing was Hell Cop, like you said, has a really cool look because he's like all scarred up and he's like really scary. He doesn't speak and he's dressed like a cop. He should have been the main villain because at the end of the day, the main villain is Satan. He has more time and like more, I guess, suspense behind him than Hell Cop. Hell Cop could be a really cool character in another movie. There could be a movie just about him, like Maniac Cop or something.
Yeah, or like, I don't know, maybe if Terminator ever had a sequel, they could have had like an evil cop character.
Yeah, well, not yet. We're almost this. You tell me James Cameron ripped off a Hellcop?
First, James Cameron ripped off Trancers, and now James Cameron's ripping off Highway to Hell. That's what I'm saying.
That I'm hearing that. I'm hearing that James Cameron's ripping off a bunch of stuff. Avatar 2 is going to be just like Highway to Hell. Just you wait and see.
Yeah, just you wait. But
Highway to Hell, the song by AC/DC, does not appear in this movie, by the way. Supposedly they could not afford it.
Yeah, it looks like they pretty much sunk all their budget into special effects and makeup and not into casting and not into writing and not into music.
Yeah. And I also think it's an odd choice, like, to film this in the desert. So hell is just literally the desert, which I feel like is the most uninspired part of the setting. It's not very nice. I mean, hell shouldn't be nice to look at, but you'd think they would do something else with it.
It's so boring.
Mm-hmm.
It does. I mean, just imagine you're out in the desert and they're like, that's hell. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not very interesting. Then that's this movie as a whole. It's just not a really interesting movie. Like, it's weird. It's like you said, it's like got some fun elements. It's got some cool things about it, but as a whole, I never was really enjoying it.
No.
Yeah.
I really wasn't having a great time watching it. I mean, it wasn't horrible, as I said, but definitely could have been a lot better. They could have gone and gotten some better talent in this movie. Or
I don't think anybody really does a good job except for maybe
Hitler.
And Hitler. Yeah.
Oh, really? You liked him?
Kind of at first, but then when he became
boring.
devil, I don't know. It maybe it was me just trying to get something out of this, like, because there's really not a lot. Like, for the listener, I'd love to give you more plot details, but really not a lot happens. It's a lot of driving and kind of talking with not a lot going on.
No. Well, one memorable scene I will say is kind of like they have like the big fake out scene where he thinks he's rescued his girlfriend and he's killed Hellcop, but it turns out, and so like, he sees his girlfriend, he thinks he's killed Hellcop, and him and his girlfriend start making out, and his girlfriend's like, oh, let's do it right here. And he's like, well, shouldn't we leave? Like, shouldn't we go back home beforehand? And she's like, no, let's do it now. And then it turns out to be this scary looking, like, female demon with like fake boobs and all that.
Like dry skin, wrinkled.
And it's funny because the demon's not trying to kill him at all. And then he just kind of like blows her away and just, she's like, I'm a lover, not a fighter, and just like shoots her right in the stomach. And then she flies back into the bed and the bed turns into a pit to hell. Like a fiery pit.
I like the special effect of that, of her falling down to the pit of hell.
I remember laughing actually at that scene because I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah. Another weird scene is he finally does save his girlfriend, and they meet up with the devil, and the devil's like, well, let her make her choice. She can leave if she wants. And of course she goes, yeah, I want to go. And then he's like, yeah, go ahead and leave. And of course they take this as like, all right, cool. The devil would never do anything evil. He sticks to his word. We're just going to head out. Thank you, buddy. Which, of course, it turns out to be a double cross, which they should have known the whole time.
Well, I mean, the devil already stabbed them in the back once because when the devil shows up, he's like a kindly tow truck driver, a mechanic type of guy. And then he just reveals himself like, no, I'm actually the devil.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. And then in the end, it's a race to get out of hell with the Hellcop and some motorcyclists. Really wasn't that exciting, except for the fact that Richard Farnsworth, for some reason, who gives him the car, doesn't tell him he forgets to tell him that there's nitrous in this car and can just boost his way out of hell. But they find it out. They find it out and they get out of hell.
Speaking of that, how did they explain how Richard Farnsworth knew all that stuff, like how to get out of hell and have a gun and have these special bullets? Because that happens so quickly. I mean, and the guy, he's so quick to, so she gets taken by the hell cop probably in the first like 15 minutes of the movie, maybe. And then immediately afterwards, he runs into Richard Farnsworth, who is like, okay, yep, she's in hell. You got to take this gun, got to take my car, and have a good day. And he's just like, all right, sounds good. This is what I have to do now.
Yeah, he establishes all the rules for the movie, but this is after he says like, oh, my girlfriend was taken too, and he never saved her. And I don't understand how he knows, like, oh, you can only be in there for 24 hours, which is a plot element I wish they would have used more. Another movie would have been like, oh, the clock's ticking. We got to get out of here in 24 hours. They literally never mention it again until they get out of hell.
I was about to say that was so insignificant that I actually forgot about it until you said that.
Yeah, exactly. It sets up all these cool rules and never plays with it. It feels like a missed opportunity. It feels like something that just could have been done better.
Yeah, I mean, or there were some kind of cool parts where I was kind of starting to dig it a little bit, like especially when he had the gun and there was like an ice cream like vendor, like ice cream man that showed up, and he was like a demonic ice cream guy, and he's like, I'm going to scoop your brains out. And then he just shoots the ice cream guy and he's like, scoop your own brains out.
Yeah. I forget all of his one-liners, but this guy has one-liners. He does have them. They're all lame.
Oh, yeah. When he kills the demon woman, she's like, Charlie, I love you, or whatever his name was. Yeah, and he's like, sorry, not my type.
Yeah, nice. That's a good one.
Imagine like Rob Lowe's dopey brother saying that line. So it's just not intimidating in the least.
No, not at all. This guy, he looks like a little, like, I don't even know. I hate his look. I don't want to see him as my lead. That's
like baby blue eyes and bleach blonde hair with just like a very nice smile.
Yeah, with a nice smile, but he's always got like this dopey look on his face, like he doesn't know what's going on.
My brother got me this part.
Yeah, probably. He probably sent it to Rob Lowe, and Rob Lowe is like, hey, I got a brother.
We want somebody that looks just like Rob Lowe, but not nearly as talented.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Have I got a deal for you? That's where their budget went. They were like, well, we can't afford Rob Lowe, but
there's Chad Lowe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like when you can't afford Tom Hanks, so you go for his son, and then you're like, oh, we can't even afford his son, so you have to get his brother. You have to go from Tom. I forget his son's name. The other one.
Well, there's Colin Hanks and Chet Hanks.
Yeah, Chet Hanks. There we go. You got to get Chet Hanks for your movie.
Yeah, great rapper, Chet Hanks.
I love Chet. But
I think we're both in agreement, though, that this is probably not a recommend.
No. Yeah, unfortunately. I just don't think really, like, there's cool things about it, but it's just not really worth your time, I don't think. It's not really anything that good.
No, and I mean, it could have been a lot better, but it's very clear that they didn't have the means to do it, or maybe it's kind of like one of those where it's like, they tried to make this really big movie, but obviously could not afford it at all.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that about wraps it up for Highway to Hell. Ryan, what are we going to be talking about on Thursday?
Well, as we're taking this exit off of this highway, we are going to go to New York, lovely New York, and we're going to talk about New York's most beloved movie, 1982's New York Ripper.
Oh, yeah, the perfect representation for New York.
Yeah, New York seen through the eyes of an Italian man.
We'll see how that goes.
But yes, this movie is available on Tubi, completely free. So check it out if you want to watch along with us.
Yeah, and also if you have any memories with that or Highway to Hell, send us an email over at driveanddoubleFeaturePodcast@gmail.com. Send us any recommendations as well. We love getting recommendations. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter at DIDFpod. You can tweet at us there as well. And until next time.
Until next time.